Sriracha beer, so tell us more.
Sriracha beer, yeah. So the Sriracha Hot Stout is part of our, what I call a collision series, where a lot of times they're called collaborations, but for me it's a collision because we really are taking the two brands, Rogue and Voodoo, or Rogue and Hoi Fong, and colliding the two. So it's more than just us taking their product and using it in a beer of ours. We really try to take their brand and reflect a lot of the essence of the brand in a beer. So with Voodoo, you see, obviously we take a product of theirs and use that as a recipe inspiration for the beer. The bottle obviously being pink, and we're able to use also the Baron, they call it their logo. And with the folks at Hoi Fong, they let us use basically their logo from their bottle. So we really tried to use almost all the visual cues from their bottle with the rooster. Obviously the green cap was a fun piece to do, since the Sriracha sauce has a green cap, which has kind of become iconic in their product line, and just taking their product, again, making a stout with their product in it, and then taking some of the visual elements of their brand and combining it into a beer. So I think it's lots of fun for us. It's lots of fun for Voodoo, and the folks at Hoi Fong are having a great time with it as well. I mean, as you said, these are not products that are probably going to be for everybody, but you have the love, you have the hate, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay for beer to be fun and experimental and polarizing, and I think these are really fun products for us, and consumers have responded amazingly to both these concepts. So we're happy with the projects, and again, it's really a fun process to work with other fellow rogues, fellow creatives outside of our space, which was kind of the idea all along, which was, hey, how do we look outside of beer and find other people that might be as crazy as we are and work with those types of folks, which was the concept.
Absolutely, and I couldn't get enough of the Sriracha if everybody wanted it for Christmas this year and holidays, so that's good. Any other new collisions you can tell us about, maybe coming up after Sriracha?
Yeah, nothing I can tell you about. I'll just tell you there's a couple, at least one or two that are in the works that are going to be kind of along the same lines in terms of being collisions. Whether or not out there is Sriracha or Voodoo, time will tell. But we're working with a couple other fun partners, fun brands to build some other collisions I think will fit into this family quite nicely.
I'm looking forward to checking that out. Looking ahead, will Rogue be moving into any other markets, foreign or otherwise, coming up in the next year?
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to get into as many countries as possible. I mean, there's no more states, but certainly we're almost to the point now where we have more countries than states. So I think that's a goal for 2015, is we can get into more countries than we have states. So I think that'd be a fun accomplishment.
Absolutely. And do you have any special events coming up? We have the Craft Brewers Conference coming to Portland in 2015, which is kind of a big deal. Does Rogue have anything special planned, or any special events?
Yeah, we're gonna have some events over at the Green Dragon. We're gonna have some events over at Flanders as well to host some of our friends, retailers and distributors. So that'll be fun to have Portland showcase craft beer for CBC. And of course, we have in May coming up the Brewers Memorial Ale Fest, where we pour 40, 50 different beers and raise $10,000-$15,000 hopefully for dog-related charities. That's down at the brewery in Newport.
Awesome, cool. Kind of shifting gears just a little bit. How do you see the current state of craft beer right now in the U.S.? We've seen this explosion of all these new breweries. We have thousands of breweries now. I mean, when you guys started, there wasn't many. You guys were, daring and risking and dreaming and making all of this new. Everything was new at that time. Now it's like every neighborhood, especially in Portland, has a brewery, and every state has a brewery now. Multiple breweries in places like Mississippi and wherever. How do you see it moving forward, or right now?
Yeah, it's an amazing time to be in craft beer. I mean, when we started, there was less than 50 craft breweries in the country, and now there's 3,500 some odd, and going to 4,000, probably followed by going to 5,000. So there's never been a more exciting time in the history of the country for amazing craft beer. So I think it's smart to be really bullish on the craft category. I think it's great for the consumers. They have such a huge set of options to choose from in terms of the breweries they can choose from, the variety that they can choose from. So there's no better time than now to be a big fan of craft beer.
Is that a challenge for Rogue, being that you're not this huge brewery? I mean, you're well represented across the board, but you're not an enormous brewery, relatively speaking, to some of these great large-size breweries. Has that been a challenge for you guys, trying to be somewhere in the middle with all this small growth and, you know, the bigger ones getting bigger too?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think that it's kind of like this. We don't really worry about size. We kind of worry about what we can control, which is, you know, building great products and building great stories and great concepts and farms in our nation, and staying true to the brand. So as long as we do that, we kind of take our chances with the results. But yeah, there's no doubt that there's more competition than ever before. The competition's a lot better than ever before. So it's definitely harder. There's no question about that. The business is more competitive. You know, the good thing is the whole pie of craft is getting bigger at the same time. So and there's also nothing you can do about the competition except get better. So we're just trying to get better every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of the big brands that still have a lot of, you know, it's chunk to be eaten up still. So that's a good point. And I was going to ask you about this. Do you feel that there's a saturation point at anywhere near in the future for craft beer, or do you think it has a long ways to go before it reaches that, or how do you think about that?
I think it's got a long ways to go before it gets close to saturation. There's still, I mean, we're still only less than 10% market share, which is still small relative to the big guys. So I think there's a ton of space for craft to grow, and anybody that says that craft is saturated, I don't think they probably know what they're talking about.
So if Anheuser-Busch, Miller Coors, one of those companies came and said, "Hey Brett, hey Rogue, here's a check, you blank," would you do it?
I don't think we could pass a drug test, so I'm not too worried about them calling on us. And there's a lot prettier, smarter guys out there that they'd be probably wise to call before they came.
So you think 10 Barrel, they passed a drug test?
I have no comment about anybody else's brewery. I tell you that
I'm
much.
joking, but like we've seen that happen with 10 Barrel here in Oregon. Is that something you would maybe even consider if that was something that a big brewery like that came down the road?
I mean, I'll tell you this. I think it's so unlikely that I don't really even spend any time thinking about it. I mean, we've been an Oregon brewery for 26 years, and I hope we stay an Oregon brewery for 26 more years. You know, we like being privately held, owned by a group of friends and lifelong Oregonians, and that's a pretty nice way to have it, and a pretty nice way to keep it.
All right, I like that answer. Where do you see Rogue in another 10, 20 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna keep doing our thing, and you know, you can't predict the product line, but I think we'll have, as we talked about earlier, we'll have more pubs. I think we'll have a developed set of businesses across spirits and soda and cider, and obviously the beer business, I think, will continue to expand. So I think the Rogue Nation will be stronger than ever in 10, 20 years. I think we'll be one of those brands, hopefully, that people people look at and say those guys made it from a long time ago and are still here, are still relevant, are still fun, and still kicking out amazing products that people across the country and the world can enjoy. So I think that's the vision, and more importantly than that, I think I hope people look at us in 10, 20 years and say that they stayed true to what their mission was, that they didn't sell out, that they didn't chase volume, they didn't do things in a sane way, which is just not how we do it. So I think that would be maybe the greatest legacy that we can leave, is to stay true to the kind of the mission of the founding fathers.
It's respectable, absolutely. Just a couple more questions real quickly. This one just came to my head, so I'll ask you. I know that you're an Oregon guy, right? Or how do you feel about this whole playoff system in the college football? And you're not a Ducks fan, right?
Well, I'll give you a couple of things on that. Okay. So the playoff system I love. I think the playoff system is amazing and long overdue, and don't get me started on the NCAA. So, but I'm all for the playoff system. I think yesterday proved why we needed a playoff. There's two two very compelling games, and one underdog. You know, the 4 beat the 1, that's why you have the playoff. Otherwise, the 4 wouldn't even had a chance with Ohio State. In terms of the Ducks, I'm born and raised in Corvallis, 18 years. So even though I didn't go to Oregon State, when you can hear the PA from Parker Stadium at your house, like it's that ingrained in my brain and my upbringing that I cannot bring myself. Not like all these people say, oh, I'm an Oregonian, I root for the Ducks. I cannot do that. So I refuse to root for the Ducks. I know that's not the popular thing to do or say, but that's just in my heart and my soul. And I will root on, I think it's January 12th, for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to kill him. No, I don't care. I'm a Portland State University guy, and I'm pretty happy that last year during the Super Bowl there were more Portland State University players representing the Super Bowl than there were players from Alabama and Auburn combined.
Let's see, Julius Thomas. Who's the other one?
I forget. There's 3 of them.
3 of them
total. Yeah. Not like I cared about sports in college, anyways. Last question, because I appreciate your time, and you know you're busy here, drinking and doing your thing. What's your of all the beers you have here, Rogue? What's your go-to beer?
I'll say 2. If I want a dark beer, I'll have our Shakespeare Stout, and if I want a hoppy beer, I'll have our 7-hop IPA.
So you're a hop guy. You like hoppy beers mostly.
I like it all. I mean, like just kind of depends on what I'm feeling that particular moment, that particular day. So I try to cross drink as much as possible. But if I had to pick just 2 of my children, I guess I would pick those 2.
I really like the Pilsner, the good shit.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. I like that. But oh yeah, I like a lot of your beers. That Shakespeare's legendary, good beer. All right, Brett Joyce from Rogue Brewing. Thanks very much,
Of
man.
course,
It's
pleasure to
always
talk
a
to you.
pleasure to talk to you, bro. Cheers.
Cheers.